Here we are today inside the opening of the rocket stove, which is inside the addition here. Just wanted to make a little update video. We're coming to the end of January here of 2022. Inside of the addition, we've got chickens outside running around. It's been a bit warmer, so they've been less reluctant to step out into the snow and wander around a little bit. But not a whole lot of change, going on in here. Wintertime is a little slow, and just with the road and whatnot, it's a little bit harder sometimes to get, bulk supplies up here, especially building materials, when you got to bring up big pieces of plywood and tin sheeting and stuff like that. But we've got some tin, so we'll be ready to start putting the roofing on top here, so we'll have less snow leaking in. And what we're doing today is heating it up in here a little bit, because I need to get rid of this pile of sticks, which kind of, I guess, brings me to a little bit of, the point of even having the rocket stove in here. And I think that's, my point being is, this is regenerative right here. The cannabis stalks and whatnot from the season. And, granted, that's not all of, the stalks and whatnot, because there was some that got buried into the soil a little bit to help, and others we did burn some in the house too, but for the most part I've been burning it in the rocket stove, which makes this kind of, in my mind, a little bit of a nice circle of life, regenerative aspect, I guess. I kind of am just thinking off the top of my head. And I think that's kind of the cool thing, because this equals, less wood that I have to chop, outside. Which, granted, we do enjoy, actually, that we've got some, it's terrible that the fires that happen and whatnot, but I guess the good that comes out of it for us is that, that provides us with plenty of firewood for the wintertime, honestly, and especially incorporating, the rocket stove design for trying to maximize heat efficiency, as well as using, just less wood overall too, which, keeps longer lasting wood equals longer burn, longer wintertime, or the more, winters we can go through, burning what we have on the property, as well as helping clean it up for future fires, because, we're helping clean up a lot of the kindling, essentially, that sits out there and that's super dry and, ready to just ignite at any second. And, since we do have two stoves now, because the addition, this is mainly serving, here's kind of the inside of state of things right now. We've got tools, stickers, samples of different organic products and stuff that we're going to do for teas and whatnot, different amendments that we've got from the new grow store in Bozeman. So, and taking a quick look at the temperature, it's 44.4. It's been a pretty cloudy day outside. It was pretty cloudy this morning, and we're kind of just starting to break a little bit. But, we probably are going to get some more cloudy days here and whatnot. Because yesterday, there was a lot more sunshine yesterday, and it was 60 degrees in here, and I didn't have the fire going or anything like that. So, but that, to me, this is quite the benefit, growing the season, and there's a lot of options we can do with the weed stalks, and burying them in the ground is one way because that can help with moisture retention. And if you think about, wood chips and whatnot, it's just a larger form, it's just not as chopped down as the chip form. So it's just added moisture retention, but it's just multiple uses that we can use this for, because for the springtime here, I'm just bringing a lot of this out, or before springtime here, and now basically the game is to keep the fire going as I break some weed sticks really quick. And I guess, honestly, kind of the downside a little bit of this rocket stove design compared to the house is, it's a little bit smaller, I guess, than I thought, and just kind of, now getting to actually use it and whatnot and see what it does. Now, kind of seeing like it can take a good amount of flame. You can stuff this pretty full. And you can see I got the flame, that flame is really going. And, it's got a lot of suction, so you can kind of see some of the smoke there coming off, or that ember smoking a little bit, but you see it's just drafting right into the flame. So this has got a lot of suction to it. Even though, if everyone remembers that this pipe goes around and goes through this whole floor, which this is about a 40-foot stretch. Something like that, I think. I haven't done a measurement, but, a 40-foot stretch till it gets outside, which is pretty amazing to me. Just, I guess, the amount of suction it has and, just experimenting with this concept and seeing kind of what we can do and going outside even. There's the stovepipe. We got guinea hens going. The dogs are perked up and hanging out. It's not too bad. And then we've got the goats way out there and been rotating them around and, just trying to do, keep them rotated, I guess, is the thing. And that, sometimes it does get a little difficult just because when it's wintertime and super snowy. If it's like, super windy, it makes you more reluctant to go outside and kind of do that. But I've been doing it, and just thinking about the benefits that it'll have in the next coming years and whatnot, especially for all the animals, because that's one thing throughout the whole summer we didn't have to really buy a whole lot of feed because most of the field had grasses, weeds, all that, and grasshoppers as well. So there was bugs and a little bit of grass for all the chickens and the ducks, and there was plenty of grass and weeds for the goats to eat, basically, and they're fat, they're not skinny, they're pretty fat. So that's kind of coming back here to the rocket stove. I guess that's the other benefit of that, because what I did the other day is I kind of smoked it out in here. And then I think that's partially due just because of the height of the pipe outside. I need to extend that pipe, just like the house. That was the one problem. It was the pipe was too short, so it didn't give it enough oomph, enough convection power, you could say, to lift out, the smoke and just keep that convection. Just with the higher suction, just having the suction, so it's not leaking or anything like that. And so I think, because it's just like with the wind and whatnot, depends on the wind direction. And you can kind of see it smokes a little bit. So this is, you see what it does? Yep. Then once it gets going, once the flame gets going, then it's really not a big issue. So that's kind of the one thing. I think with the rocket stove, you have to be careful about how you design it and whatnot, because we have to probably make kind of a custom little lid for this, with a couple vent holes, so that we can, kind of just narrow down, how much flame, you see some of the flame coming out there. And I think, that's probably partially due to the wind going on outside. Like I was just saying, the wind probably fluctuated. And the way it's positioned on the house, you know, I think that's it. The wind kind of hits the addition here and kind of makes a kind of vortex maybe, and basically kind of creates negative pressure pushing back in here. So that's why I think the pipe just needs to be longer. So then it just has more of the lift, you know, when the heat's exiting out the pipe, it just needs that much more lift to kind of, not compensate, but just to overpower the negative pressure outside basically. So you can see now, you know, once it got started and a little bit more flames kind of going, now it's got the suction going. So, you know, I think that this is kind of important because, you know, it's to keep things real on top of it and honest, you know, because what we're doing up here, it's not exactly always perfect. But I think that's kind of, you know, the benefit for us in that sense is that we have the chance to basically be, you know, more scientific about things. You know, that's I think someone had asked me the other day, you know, it's like, why do you keep building the Earthships? Why do you keep building more? And, you know, why I keep building more? My answer kind of to that is, you know, because the concept works. So why not? You know, it's just like regular housing. You know, why do they keep building houses the way that they do? You know, because the concept, you know, in the system that we have, it works. You know, it's cheap. It goes up quick. You put on, you know, it takes very little time to put up, and you've got a house for someone to start paying bills and paying rent and all the things that come with it, you know. So, but that I guess that, you know, that's kind of a little bit of the reality up here is that, you know, we have a lot of the technology at our disposal, which, quite frankly, like, we don't have the money for. You know, there's a lot of things we definitely could be implementing up here, a lot more so, and that definitely would be a little bit of a better reality for us if we had the abundance of money like that. But, you know, to me at the same time, I don't think it's really that big of a deal because it's the trade-off, and the trade-off for us is that it is a slight learning curve for things, but I think the whole learning experience in general, it's great. And, you know, there's a lot, you know, I guess it's just like a lot of personal, you know, interior, inside your mind kind of advancement, you know, where, you know, when you finally get something that works and whatnot, you know, that it's just, it just feels really good. And the fact that we did it, you know, as opposed to having somebody else do it and having to pay them, you know, which we're not opposed to having to pay somebody. I actually do want to, you know, because we want to expand our solar and whatnot. And honestly, I don't think I did the best job for sure on our solar setup, you know, but it's worked for us the last 6 years just about here. But it kind of gets to the point, you know, where we've already got so much going on. And it's kind of like, you know, I've got other interests, honestly, and electrical isn't one of my interests so much. And, you know, I'm willing to definitely look into things, you know, to at least, you know, get us set up and whatnot. But it's not how I am, like, with gardening, I guess, and just the Earthship concept, you know. So building all the Earthships. So, but, you know, this rocket stove functions, you know, for having super long pipe. It's pretty impressive to me. And I think I probably need to write out some bullet points for my next video a little bit on, you know, more the things I need to talk about, because sometimes I just kind of wing it and I just start talking, and whatever I'm running into, I just start talking about a little bit. But besides the rocket stove, you know, the Addition is coming along super well. Just getting things ready for the grow season. And I guess if nobody really understood a little bit, you know, why, you know, this goes into why we keep building Earthships, you know. because partially, it's more plants. This is all, we have the annex here. This is all garden space. Then we have this huge stretch of garden space, now. And honestly, when you think about greenhouse designs and whatnot, when you're thinking about colder regions like we are here in Montana, any of the northern states, you want more of a passive solar greenhouse because just for the fact of the wintertime, and you're trying to maximize the amount of light and the amount of heat that you're capturing from the sun during the wintertime. And summertime, it gets really hot, so we don't want full blast sunshine in here because otherwise it'll be cooking, 120 degrees plus with that. So that's kind of why, for the angle and then for the rest of the coverage. And, you can still see that there's plenty of light getting in here. There's a lot of light. So, this is where, we're going to have a tray. We're going to have plants stretched out over to here. There's still plenty of light getting to them. And that, I think that's kind of the reality is, and what has kind of proven itself for myself gardening is that, plants can deal with a hell of a lot. And getting them through the winter, I feel like is probably a little bit easier than most people think. And it does definitely just, it's kind of determinant on, the design and, all the things that you're implementing, like the rocket stove here, which what I was talking about before with how small it is. See, I got to kind of babysit it just a little bit, but that's partially because I'm using all these little sticks. And I think that's partly the downfall of the cannabis stocks is that they just don't have as dense or as much wood pulp maybe as, a regular tree. You see it's got some wood pulp and then it's got that little fluffy gummy kind of middle right there. So I think that's probably partially a little bit. So if I get, really like smaller logs, chop up good actual dead sticks and stuff up in here, I think, I won't have to babysit it as much. But even still, this, I didn't have to, well, we had to chop it, but, this was right in the garden. And the fact that it's, a pulp material, it just supplements the rocket stove is really what it does. So just like the greenhouse design that we're doing, using the light from the sun, and then we'll be supplementing light, overhead here for the wintertime like we're in now. We just got this light rail track, and what this does is you'll hang it up and it's got the little motor on it, and this thing slowly moves across. So it moves your light, which is really cool because it kind of spans out your light. So if you're thinking about, having stuff indoors, or you've got a little spot for growing and you're trying to get things through the winter, but it needs extra light, and you're kind of running into the budget issue of what you can get. The light rail, I think, is a really good option. That motor uses about 5 watts, so it's a little, in comparison to having to double on lights, it's a way smaller investment, to be honest. And that's a slow moving motor. It's not fast moving, so it should honestly last a good long time. Hopefully, if it's not cheaply made, because there are kind of those knockoffs that you can get on Amazon and whatnot. As I stoke more sticks. But going back to the light rail, so the light rail basically can eliminate a whole nother light. So for this table, this is a 4x4 flood table. So this light, I can have, my 2-foot LED hood lights. Oh, here we go. We've got these tube lights here. And these single lights are great. If you pair these with LEDs, honestly, from my experience, this is more than enough light to do a decent amount of plants. And this is honestly how we've been doing things for our growing season, for the grow in general, and for our regular plants inside the house and whatnot, and seed starting. But this light, this is what's in this. Oh, this is the tube that's in this. So this is the regular, tube light that they come with, but we've got the LED strips that you can buy at a grocery store or on Amazon. But the LED strips are T5 LED strips, so you can just replace these tubes with the LEDs, which is pretty awesome. And not to mention, they use a whole lot less electricity. These tubes are rated 24 watt. The LED lights are rated at 21 watts. And according to my meter, they actually are running a little less, which I don't know how concerned I guess I am. I might have to just see how things go. But, the LED in this tube, it only uses 17 watts, which is kind of curious. So, and cool at the same time because it's using a lot less electricity, especially compared to the other hoods that we have that we put the T5 LEDs in. The hoods use almost 25% more power, essentially. So, which, it definitely probably relates that, these tubes are meant for these kind of ballast. So they're going to run at maximum efficiency, whereas the LEDs are kind of aftermarket. So, maybe the transfer of energy is a bit different. As I go and babysit this fire some more. Coupling that with the LEDs. So basically that light rail will move the lights basically however many feet a minute I want to set it, kind of. And that will basically cover that whole 4x4 area and then some. And kind of the added bonus on top of it is because those light rails are really advertised a lot towards the growers, indoor growers and whatnot. So, they have them on a shorter leash, so to speak. So the rail is dimmed a bit shorter, so the light spacing can only go so far. Like indoor setting, you wouldn't want it to go past this 4 foot, essentially, depending on, the light intensity. But with the rail here, we'll be able to essentially only have to string 2 lights of LEDs that are 100 watts a piece, 100 watts for the 4 lights, but we can span these across, this window gap over to this window gap. And the benefit not the benefit, but what we're just more so doing is just trying to get through winter. I'm not trying to really maximize growth per se. But the faster they grow, the better. But, honestly, it's just being able to get clones through the winter, other mother plants maybe and such. And that's all we really need. We don't need the light to be at maximum efficiency on the plant. It's just more so adding a couple extra hours of sunlight, of artificial light, to the plants. So they're just still thinking that it's summertime, essentially. So I think I'm going to have to do another update video because I already have talked for 25 minutes here almost and having to babysit the fire at the same time. But I'm going to get some more work done. I've just been patching up a lot more of the inside. So now we just have some of the insulation to do way up top in the rafters there. And a little bit more insulation, and then be insulating this whole backside as well to get all this done. And pretty much I'm more so a little bit more focused on getting this inside done because we're gonna have to be moving plants and we're getting seeds started. Also, all the vegetable seeds and whatnot, that's also what we're doing in here. Vegetable seeds, fruit seeds, anything and everything, because it's not just about the cannabis. It's about the concepts, and cannabis is just another plant alongside corn and, peas and beans and all that stuff. So it's just another aspect of nature. And it's more just about the concept here. So that's kind of what my focus is more so up here. It is just the concept and proving to you guys, and maybe not so much proving, but just, setting the example of, the experimentation process that we're going through, and also, what we're finding is consistent, what works, being scientific about things, and I think that's a lost trait that a lot of people have missed out on kind of practicing the last couple years. So, yeah, and which you could say, this is real research, right here. We've had the idea and the concept, and we had the hypothesis. We've already done 4 Earthships, and all 4 of them have been pretty consistent with as far as, how they function, how they're heating, the lighting, and whatnot. And it's really just all about kind of tweaking the design in order to maximize efficiency. And this is all without, any physicist person or, architecture person or anything like that. So, it's our own little personal journey that has it's its own little science experiment. So, more updates to come. I'm sorry I haven't posted one for a little while. Like I said, it's been a little slow. Thanks for bearing with me through my talking and babysitting the fire at the same time. But we're already starting the season off a lot earlier than last year, especially with this addition being built. This thing has so much glass, and for how much glass it has, it's pretty damn warm in here compared to outside. I think it's only with the sun, when the sun was kind of shining, I think it was maybe 30 degrees outside. So, and now we're at 46.2. I've only had the fire going maybe an hour, I think, and before I started making this video. So, working on a little project, which I won't get into now. That'll probably be for the next video, because I still got to do some testing on that and a little bit of tweaking for electrical stuff and whatnot. Like I said, I don't enjoy electrical as much, but for this project, it's worth kind of figuring things out and whatnot. So I'm gonna leave it at that. But this is the addition in the end of January here, and we've got our sliding glass door already open, and we're spray foaming and getting more things buttoned up in here for the season. And now I'm gonna have to babysit the fire again. Thank you, everybody. Stay tuned for the next update. Peace.